Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're playing the Ohio, and this is of course one of the better ships in the entire game. A very strong battleship, very tanky, extremely powerful main guns, secondaries, and overall is going to do quite well if you're able to get it. It is very expensive, of course. But the focus of today's game is really not on this ship, but more on the team play here. It's been a rough Christmas season, I think we can all agree, as far as the quality of World of Warships matches go. I've been having a lot of blowouts, a lot of campy matches at high tier. It's been a little bit rough. But in this game, I had teammates that pushed up with me. And I just had to share that with you guys, just because it felt so good. It allowed us to play much more aggressively, get towards the cap circle right at the beginning of the game here, and have a much more enjoyable experience. Even if I don't get a ton of damage in this game, it's really just much more fun for me when I'm able to play at closer ranges. I just enjoy it more personally. So seeing a match like this is very nice. Unfortunately, there is a submarine on our flank. And luckily for us, our Austin seems to be taking the brunt of that damage and focus. So I don't actually have to deal with that quite yet. One of the main weaknesses of Ohio, of course, is going to be the ASWs being only 6 kilometers. You can see I still can't really hit this guy. He's kind of kiting away from us, and I would love to lead that more, but I just can't. So I think actually I'm going to end up missing. Enemy team has a Cecilia, which is a Colombo with SAP secondaries and normal main guns-ish. It's in testing still, but interesting to get a little bit of a brawl here against this guy. Although we're both kind of hiding behind our islands respectively here, just because taking sustained fire early on like this can be a bad idea. So I'm going to duck behind my island, he's going to duck behind his island, and we're going to deal with maybe some of the guys towards the middle of the map instead, like the Trump or maybe the Alsace, for example. Brisbane getting aggressive with those torpedoes, and he actually bumps into the Cecilia. And we miss entirely because of that. Of course, at closer ranges, Brisbane Minotaur hull is even more juicy than it already is. So we're definitely looking to take that guy out because it's just such a massive citadel. But look at our teammates here. We got the Austin up in the cap here. We've got the Duncan and Zorky having a bit of an issue, but still pretty close to us here. Even a Yamagiri nearby us as well. So feels pretty good to have a match like this so early on. We're not even 5 minutes into this match, and we're all pushed up towards the cap here. At high tier, this is a rarity. I almost never see this, so I was pretty happy with that. Unfortunately, our Zorky is a little bit tilted, I suppose, something like that. So you're going to see later on, I'm actually going to compliment a bunch of these people that, that pushed up here with me just because I was so surprised by it. I wasn't exactly paying attention to the in-game chat here, so now watching it back, I realized maybe that compliment shouldn't have gone out to that guy, who was rather unhappy at the moment, but hey, I wasn't paying attention to this chat, I was probably looking at stream chat or something like that. And because of that, I'm also broadside onto an Alsace, which, you know, is usually fine, especially at longer ranges, just because Alsace dispersion is not very good, but he does get a citadel into us, so punishing us for not respecting his ship all that much. So we do have to be a little careful in the Ohio. It's not like a German battleship where we're not going to take citadels when we're broadside. It is possible, although pretty unlikely considering how low in the water Ohio's citadel is. I'd be a pretty massive fan if we were able to raise citadels above the water almost across the board. I think it'd be a much more interesting game if we were able to do more damage to these broadside ships. I think that Alsace probably deserved to get a citadel, maybe even 2 for me going broadside onto him like that. But then I would like to see probably a little less damage to angled ships, especially through overmatch. We'd have to change that up a little bit, but something I've talked about for a very long time, of course. Something that probably won't change, but I really would prefer to take damage when I make a mistake and I go broadside than the consistent chip damage of HE and overmatch. It's less enjoyable to me. We do manage to help take out the Cecilia here. We've taken quite a bit of damage here as well. Notice we're down to 2 heals left on our Ohio right now. And we haven't really done all that much damage, but notice we just have all the caps here. It's a bit of a blowout, this one, to be fair with you. But that's where the start of this match was a little more interesting to me. Also that the enemy team seems to be a little stronger on our flank, so a bit more of an even match over here, even though unfortunately the enemy team kind of collapsed on the other flanks. So it's interesting over here if you ignore the caps and the score right now. It's a little more even just specifically on the A cap here. Adatara seemingly does have a Citadel. I'll be honest, I've been playing a ton of Bungo, and yet I haven't really played against them all that much. So maybe it makes sense why I've been having a decent time in Bungo and getting away with going broadside. Now that more people are starting to play them over the Christmas break, it seems like they don't actually have that much of a Citadel. Speaking of waterline, hard-to-hit Citadels, maybe that line should have a little bit more. Something like the Vincent as well. We're looking at a Duncan in front of us. Maybe give Vincent a Duncan Citadel. Something like that. I don't know. I just would rather we do more Citadel damage when people are broadside. So, yeah, I was rather shocked that my team pushed up like this. I was having a bit of a rough day of World of Warships when playing this one. So I was really, really happy with this game. Even though we haven't even done 100K. And I'm still happy with it just because we got to push up a little bit closer. And our teammates were actually pushing up to the cap with us and supported us with that. So Teamplay is not dead in World of Warships, even in the rough holiday games like we have now, where, let's be honest, there's a lot of people playing who probably don't play as much. And that's fine. You don't have to be... No, not everybody has to be good at the game. But it does lead to some matches that are a little bit more one-sided, shall we say. Also, just in general, people not pushing up as much these days, even in other times where it's not holidays. So really cool to see this. So got to remind yourselves, as well as myself, that these matches can exist. People will push up at times. And maybe if we all tried to do that a little more, we could have a little more fun. I don't know. I wish Wargaming would incentivize it more. It really is not all that incentivized unless you push as a team and help one another as you're pushing up. Ohio being a battleship, probably tanking, taking more of the focus, but then you need your teammates to help out by dealing damage to the targets focusing you or dealing with the submarine on the flank, that kind of thing. It's difficult. I'm not going to say it's easy. I think pushing is very, very difficult in this game, but when you do manage to pull it off with your teammates, it's a lot of fun. I suppose that's why you probably want to be playing in a division, and that way you can kind of work with your two other buddies and deal with these pushes or enemies kind of stalling out at the back of the map, that kind of thing. You can make some plays happen as a team. But here in random battles, just playing solo, we had some good teammates in this one. Brisbane finally going to give us an opportunity. He's been playing very well to avoid us, and finally at the end of the game where he doesn't have much of a choice anymore, we do manage to take him out. But living that long, playing so close up to the cap like this, pretty well done, to be honest with you. 144k in this one, not like an insane game, but that wasn't really the point of this one. The point was teammates pushing up and all of us having a good time up here instead of sniping at 20 kilometers like we typically see out of higher tier World of Warships. That's going to be the victory there as well, and a decent amount of credits in that, but, you know, mainly about tanking in this one, not doing as much damage. Only 80 secondary hits as well. Kind of disappointing there, but hey, still did a little bit of damage with those, I suppose. And as for the build on the Ohio here, this is what I am working with right now. As you can see, giving up that fire prevention and the extra heal for 4 points. We're taking the 3-pointer here. That's going to allow us to take Adrenaline Rush as well as both secondary skills here. I am taking Grease the Gears, even though that's really quick on the Ohio regardless. It feels really nice to have a 24-second turret traverse on 457s. That's kind of ridiculous. We certainly could go for AA Defense Expert just to give us that 40% reduction on consumable cooldown some of the time. Vigilance would also be pretty decent. Brisk, less so, to be honest with you. Not worth taking IFHE though, for the secondaries. They don't really pen anything more meaningfully. You're just nerfing your fire chance. I am running Emergency Repair Specialist as well as Preventive Maintenance, but you could certainly think about Gun Feeder, for example, especially if you have Halsey or one of the other upgraded American commanders. The HE here is no joke. 43% fire chance is decent, and the alpha damage is pretty high as well. So you can actually do some pretty nasty stuff with Ohio HE, but I tend to stick to the armor piercing here. But this is the build. Again, I'm just testing without fire prevention this patch. Not sure if it's good. I'm going to say this every time just so people understand. I I don't think it's good to just ignore fire prevention, but I did want to test it this patch just to see. With some of these new skills, test out some different builds to see if fire prevention is as mandatory as I have thought it is in the past. Equipment-wise, we are of course taking accuracy, 11% on the American battleships. It's very, very good. Even better than taking reload on your main guns and auxiliary armaments, I think. That does allow us to take whatever we want to here. There's no accuracy upgrade, so of course we're going to go secondaries when we're playing something like the Ohio. And that's about it. Pretty solid Ohio game, nothing like crazy or earth-shattering damage-wise, but really nice to see some teammates pushing up and playing together and taking the point like that. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day.